In this short lecture, I want to walk through our grading policies for the class, so you have an idea of how you will earn your GPA or grade at the end of the quarter. So this is going to be kind of a weird homebrew of specifications and labor-based grading, if these words mean anything to you. But mostly it means that the grading structure for this class is going to be not very traditional. In general, all of our assignments are going to be graded as incomplete or complete, and that's it. We have a few that'll also have kind of a third grading option, which is proficient, which means that you've not only completed the assignment, you've done it at about a B+ or A- level or better. Students in general are going to be able to revise all of their work with feedback from the instructor. And you'll have infinite attempts on assignments that we think of as practice. And any larger assignment that's an assessment, like a lab, post-lab, or a problem set, or a poster, or a project, those will all, you'll have just one revision opportunity because it's quite a bit more work to go through grading them. In general, your grade is just going to depend on the number of assignments that you actually complete at the end of the quarter, rather than accumulating points along the way. And so the idea is that I'm going to have to give very clear expectations of what it means to complete something or for something to be proficient when I give you an assignment. And I'll do that with giving kind of like a checklist with each assignment that explains what I expect. So how this compares to a traditional chemistry grading system is that in our traditional systems, we have points for every single assignment. Students complete the assignment, and then an instructor grades it and marks off points for things that don't meet their expectation of high quality work. And so basically, you're just accumulating points through the quarter, and your grade is kind of going up and down with that point accumulation. With this grading system, everything's just pass fail essentially. It's like complete or incomplete or proficient. And that means that you're kind of like acquiring complete assignments rather than percentages of points on assignments. Typically, in my traditional grading systems, we have students get feedback through grading, and then they have the opportunity to show that they've learned from that later on in a exam, like a midterm or a final. In this case, students are going to instead show they've learned by making sure the assignment is complete or proficient by revising it. And so you'll do that kind of like iterative process immediately rather than on kind of a 12-week cycle. In general, I think that the feedback then is used sooner in this system to improve your understanding of material, which I think helps students kind of learn and build off of it in general. The other thing that I really like about this system is that the deadlines can be more flexible, especially with this revision process in place. And so in general, we have some hard and flexible deadlines in the class, but it's just to make sure that students can get the work done in time. And so there's a little bit of flexibility, of course, throughout it. In general, students are going to be acquiring grades based on these number of assignments rather than the percentage of points. But across the board, you're still going to get a lot of feedback no matter what kind of system we use in this class. So we're going to try this kind of specification style grading system this quarter. And I'm going to talk through quickly the types of assignments that we're going to have, and then show how your grade is going to be calculated at the end. So we have a few categories of assignments. We have these introductory assignments that are like, introduce yourself, tell me about yourself. They're like all really small, low stake things that just help the class function. And so a lot of these will be in week one. We'll have a mid-quarter check-in that's like, hey, here's where you're at. And you'll be like, this is cool, or this is not cool. And it'll be pretty easy and quick. And we'll do it over email, unless you want to meet. So these are all complete or incomplete. You can just take as many iterations to do them as you need to, although most people could just do them and be fine. We'll have a handful of activities, about 4 of them throughout the quarter. These are assignments that aren't homework or an assessment of any kind or lab, but they either contextualize the material we're talking about, or they help us refine our scientific writing skills. And these will be completed in class. Occasionally they might have an out-of-class component to them, but they're going to be designed to be something that we do together in the weeks when we're having time to catch up on our assignments. On week 4, 7, and 10. Our homework assignments are going to be through an online homework system, and to make them complete or incomplete, we're really just going to set a benchmark, and it's 85% of the problems are correct. And so I will, for each assignment, say the number of problems that need to be completed correctly to equal that 85%. So the assignment heading will tell you what you need to do. Like, you need to get 14 out of 16 problems correct for this to be complete. You'll be able to do those problems as many times as you want. And so that way you're just getting the practice that you need with the homework assignment to be able to get certain types of calculations or conceptual problems correct. Self-assessments are something we do in class and out of class. They have kind of three components to them, and they're just graded as complete or incomplete. You'll come in and have like a little 5-question quiz essentially, but we'll get together in small groups and grade it together. And so you'll correct your quiz, and the process of trying to see what you know and then correcting it will award you completeness for that part of the self-assessment. So it's not like a quiz where you get points off for being wrong. It's just like, where are you at? And it's a tool to help you refine kind of your study habits. And then there's going to be a challenge problem that follows it that can be completed with other students in class. And it's meant to give you practice with something a little bit harder than the homework to get you ready for the problem sets that are our major assessment in this class. Labs are our other really big assessment tool, and they have some components to them, like pre-labs, the actual lab assignment post-lab that you turn in, and also a notebook that you'll maintain through the quarter. We have 4 lab assignments that are going to be graded as either incomplete or complete. And then we have one that'll be a formal lab report, which will be like an essay or paper. And that one will actually be graded incomplete, complete, or proficient. So it's actually one of our grade building activities that we do during the quarter. That's our last lab that we do. It's going to actually be a 4-week lab where we synthesize a transition metal complex. It'll be really fun. So lastly, I want to finish up with grade building assignments. Everything I've talked about before is like what I think of as core work to the class. If you do all of that work, you'll get a 3.0, which is like a solid B. Great. But some of you are going to want a higher grade than that. And so I have assignments that build your grade up from that 3.0 that we're assuming everybody has from day one. And so these are going to be the problems that we have every 3 weeks or every third week, the formal lab report for our last lab, and then a scientific poster project that'll span the quarter. All of these are graded as incomplete, complete, and proficient. Students have to attempt these assignments or they'll lose 0.1 grade point. And if they get a proficient, then they get plus 0.2, which is pretty nice. And so this is how you can build up to a 4.0. Aside from the assignments that I have planned for this, you can always take on an additional project, like if you had to make up a lab or something like that to build up your GPA. For these, we would want to make a plan together. So those are the types of assignments. And when we think about the grading structure for this class, I think we can simplify it a lot. Basically, you have a 3.0 in the class on day 1. Everyone has a 3.0. And as the quarter progresses, if you do all of the core work for the class, you maintain that 3.0. Anytime you don't do an assignment and then you never plan to do it, like you're like, I'm just going to take the incomplete. I don't want to do it. Or I tried it and I don't know. Or I missed it because it was a lab. Or I didn't want to finish it because I got tied up with other work. Well, every one that you don't complete drops your GPA 0.1. So if I miss one lab, then I'll have a 2.9. And then everything that we do that has the a proficient grade option. So those are the problem sets, the formal lab report, the poster, and any optional projects. Those will increase your GPA by 0.2 for each one that's proficient. And for all of these, you can revise them to that proficient level. So that means that if you complete all 3 problem sets, you'll have a 3.6 in the class because each one would be an addition of 0.2. And so basically, we're just adding points for proficiency, and at things that are incomplete, you minus 0.1. You could think about it a little bit more complicated than this. You could have that 3.0 is completing all of your work, and that 4.0 is completing all your work and then having a proficient grade on anything that is a grade building project. And you can think about getting just a passing grade into the next class, like a 2.0, which is what you would need to go on to organic chemistry. For these, maybe it's just completing everything and then not even trying any of the grade building projects, or it's missing a week of lab and a homework assignment and a self-assessment. So it could be missing a whole week of class as well. So there's kind of a lot of ways to think about how things shake out below the 3.0, but a 3.0 and higher kind of looks the same no matter what. You're going to need to track your own grade because Canvas can't do this. It has a lot of constraints on its grade book. So everything is going to be marked as either check mark for complete or X for incomplete, or 0 for incomplete and 0.5, or C for complete, or 1 or P for proficient. So you can take this information from the Canvas gradebook and input it into a spreadsheet I've developed, and it'll spit out your GPA for you. And this is really just tallying the number of incomplete assignments, and for each category, inputting it in the blue column, and then the green column tallying the number of proficient assignments and adding them into each of their categories. And then the Excel sheet will automatically calculate the GPA. You can also just do this in your head. Anything that's incomplete, minus 0.1. Anything that's proficient, add +2. But this one will do the math for you, which is nice. And I will do a grade check in mid-quarter to say, here's where I think you are, and you can tell me where you think you are, and we can go back and forth and figure it out. And anytime you want me to double check your understanding of your grade, I'm happy to do it, and I'll just bloop, calculate it for you and send it to you in an email. Just let me know when you need it.